Big weekend. I don't know if you knew this. One of the biggest cinematic weekends in the post-lockdown era saw the Barbie movie bring in something like $350 million worldwide. Everyone's talking about Barbie. Meanwhile, Oppenheimer is just out there. Also, for whatever reason, universally, it seemed like complained about by conservative pundits. I'm not exactly sure why. People's biggest complaints seem to, in general, be that it's slow or long or boring. That is the slow burn type of film that Christopher Nolan makes. I wonder why they didn't complain about 3-hour Batman Begins or whatever like that. But nonetheless, also feminists are very, very angry. That's right. Oppenheimer is blasted for how it portrays female characters, as critics claim they're no more than blow-up dolls. Interesting. That's kind of a mean thing to say about all the female actresses. But here's the article. Christopher Nolan's latest blockbuster, Oppenheimer, has received rave reviews from critics and viewers alike. It made a huge $80 million in its opening weekend, but not everyone's happy. Is $80 million that big for the box office? I don't really think it is. I feel like they probably had a pretty big budget. $100 million. Okay, so they need to make $250 million or so, $300 million to break even. Cinemagoers from around the world who have seen the film have taken to Twitter to blast how the movie's female characters are written and portrayed. One viewer wrote, "The women of Oppenheimer, boobs, babies, and a bit of booze. That sounds actually awesome. Stop. I've only been sold. You could only sell me so much. I only wanted to see Oppenheimer so much. They may as well have been blow-up dolls." Well, the movie is called Oppenheimer, not Oppenheimer and the many smart, independent women who don't need no man around him. I suspect that there weren't that many females involved in this process. Sorry, not sorry. Oppenheimer tells the complex story of J. Robert Oppenheimer, leader of the Manhattan Project, the team who built the world's first atomic bomb. The film stars Cillian Murphy in the role, along with an ensemble cast including Robert Downey Jr., Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Florence Pugh, and marks the first time director Christopher Nolan's ever included a spicy scene in one of his films. By the way, not required. Modern Hollywood thinks every movie needs this. I don't. It doesn't add anything to most movies. And in my opinion, they're needlessly long, needlessly revealing, and just dumb. This goes also for action movies and things of that nature. You don't really need that stuff. It doesn't make the movie any better to me. If I want to see that, there are plenty of other places for it, but that's neither here nor there. Nolan previously told that he was appropriately nervous and appropriately careful filming scenes which involved Florence and Murphy. One point was noted that many on social media users, Oppenheimer fails the Bechdel test, which is used to measure the representation of women in film and other fiction. To pass, it requires at least 2 women in the film, series, etc. to talk to each other about something other than a man. Often these women should also be named. Who cares? They're not relevant to this story. The women are not relevant in Oppenheimer. The movie is not called Oppenheimer and the many women in which he has changed his life. It's called Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is largely told through an unreliable narrator. The narrator considered the only woman in his life to be nothing more than hysterical set dressings, and only realized this wasn't the case until too late. As such, Kitty is the closest thing we have to a hero, added another disgruntled viewer. Who is this weak? I absolutely have to have women in my film, and they must also be heroic and simple and great. If not, I'm going to be mad about it. I mean, I think that certainly you could, on the flip side of this, talk about Barbie, right? Where there are certainly men in the film, but they're all dumb or bigoted. Well, someone asked if someone else asked, Oppenheimer was so bad that I walked out. Just go see Barbie, I guess? Yeah, right. Guaranteed that. I'll take things that didn't happen for 500. Has anyone given Nolan the business about the way women are portrayed in this movie? The fourth person joked, I don't know why people are complaining. Oppenheimer featured all three types of women. Young lover, who's an unstable communist, alcoholic wife with a sharp tongue, and plucky lady scientist just trying to make a bomb, but society is in the way. The women in Oppenheimer were there to release Oppie's tension. And that's about it, wrote a fifth user. Okay, that's fine. These same women, again, I'm sure these are all women or men trying to pretend to be women. None of them saw a problem with the way men were portrayed in Barbie, right? I guarantee you if I check their Twitter timelines, they are probably not complaining about the representation of men in Barbie. Not everyone was against calling the backlash woke behavior. One Oppenheimer defender wrote, a lady got mad after watching Oppenheimer just because there are no women for the first 15 minutes of the movie and that there were not many diverse characters in the movie. I believe this is purely woke behavior, creating problems out of nothing. When there's not a real problem in real life. Earlier this week, Dr. Tanner Roth took to Twitter to criticize the film for its lack of female representation within the first 20 minutes. Who cares? The expert on women's history said, fun fact, no women speak until 20 minutes into the Oppenheimer, and within the first minute, there's a hookup scene. Sign me up. I can only buy so many tickets. I'm not one to spend my money to own the left, and I don't think that anyone else should be. You should spend your money to, to be entertained, to enjoy things. But boy, they are really making a case for me to go see Oppenheimer more than once. No women talking for the first 20 minutes? Ladies, I kid. Shout out to my 3.5% female viewers. Christopher Nolan previously defended the film's hookup scenes, telling Insider that the intimate scenes played an essential part in establishing the relationship between Oppenheimer and Tatlock, whose link to the American Communist Party led suspicion of Oppenheimer being a Soviet spy. He said, when you look at Oppenheimer's life, you look at his story, that aspect of his life, the aspect of his spiciness, his way with women, the charm that he exuded, it's an essential part of his story. I disagree. I don't really think it's important. But I probably would be more like, I'm probably more of a like, show me more nuke stuff. Show me some more explosion footage. Show me some more, stuff like that. I mean, but that's just me. I like to see stuff blow up. This film though, for example, very rarely do you see a critic and user consensus, but 94% from critics, 94% from the audience. I suspect that there isn't much crossover in audiences between Oppenheimer and Barbie. I suspect that your traditional family unit, dad goes to see Oppenheimer or Mission Impossible, mom goes to see Barbie. It's kind of great timing for both of them. But the idea that these hookup scenes, they're just irrelevant. I'm not like offended by them, but I don't think action movies need that. It's like, do I think seeing that one chick's tired old boobs over and over again in Game of Thrones made the story any better? No. Do I think seeing it's just for like the lowbrow. It's like it's not It doesn't add anything to me. Nudity doesn't add anything to the story. You don't need it. They just do it to be, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I'm not like against it, but I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't make a movie any better or worse. It did when I was 17, you know, seeing American Pie or whatever it is and seeing your first pair or whatever. Here's a lot of people on the right, you know, they see the left is going to love this unnecessary nonlinear film. So it'll probably be the subject of breathlessly adultery reviews and up for multitudes of awards, but I found it slow, disjointed, manipulative, and more predispositional than objective. Okay. I get Christopher Nolan. Like, some people didn't like Dunkirk. They thought it was boring. I get it. Like, Dunkirk was very slow. But for me, I don't mind the slow burns. It doesn't bother me. I like to be entertained in that manner. I like to have a big payoff. But to complain about I mean, it's like there's always it's somebody's job, no matter what movie it is, by the way. No matter what movie it is, it's some woman's job to write an article complaining about how women are portrayed in it. That is just a fact. To be honest with you, there are probably men on the conservative side that it's also their job to do the exact same thing. The Barbie movie scores a 90 and a 90, both identical. I do think it's curious that both films have less than 2,500 reviews verified. I just think it's pretty interesting to me. There used to be able to actually see all review scores. Oh, here, all audience. It has a 73 from all audience. So it's not that good. With 10,000 plus ratings, not as good as you would think. But they only show the verified, which I understand. It's a decision I actually support. Only showing verified reviews. Now, if we look at Oppenheimer, all audience, 91. So there's certainly not a lot of unverified negative reviews for Oppenheimer. But yeah, it's awfully curious that this is what they're complaining about. But yeah, that's modern feminism. That's modern journalism in a nutshell.